Hello my friends and welcome back to Wednesdays on my channel. If you are new here, first of all, hello, welcome. Wednesdays are a day where we do our chores while I talk your ears off. And I have noticed that you guys, I think I did this call for action last week to like tell me what you're doing while you're watching this video, if you actually are doing your laundry or some other chore. And everyone, I was like so thrilled to read the comments. A lot of you were actually folding your laundry. Some of you, somebody was like painting their nails. I've seen several of those, making dinner. Some of you were just relaxing, which I love. But it's just like a fun day and a fun way to connect while doing stuff we've been putting off. It also really does help me get my laundry done. So I am excited to jump into today. But before we do that, I do want to say thank you to our sponsor of today's video, and that is Betterhelp. I talk about them all the time. They are a huge online therapy portal, okay? They give you access no matter where you are to certified therapists who are there to listen to you, to talk with you, to help you work through your problems, your issues, even if it's not something so grandiose, right? Like if you're like, I'm fine, but like I need to work through this one little thing, that's what they're there for. They make it so very easy. You just go online, you fill out a simple questionnaire. I love a questionnaire. I say this every time when I do a sponsorship with them. Like I love a questionnaire and then some. I love checking a box. I don't know what about it. It just feels like a game. Anyways, that's totally off topic. You go on there, you fill out the questionnaire, and then they match you up with a therapist. And the thing is, like I said before also, I'm kind of redundant in some of these points, but like these are the points and reasons why I think this is such a great service. If you don't totally click and vibe with your therapist, because sometimes it's hard to find someone that you really like, it works, you know what I mean? It's a very like specific relationship, and just like dating and friendships, like sometimes, you know, there's some learning curve. So if it doesn't match up to your liking, they will then go ahead and match you up with someone else at no additional cost. It's all online. It's all super private. You can either do like a face-to-face type of thing, talk on the phone, or if you don't want to do any of that and you're more comfortable just messaging, you can message as well. Truly, they are making it very, very easy, and I cannot stress enough how much therapy can and will change your life. Join the 2 million plus users who are already like on there working it out, chalking it out, and sorting through life to give themselves a better life. And if you go to www.betterhelp.com/Lisbug, that's www.betterhelp.com/Lisbug, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy, which is super helpful. So give it a try, guys. Okay, moving on, and thank you, BetterHelp. Today, you clicked on the title, you're probably like, okay, wait, what? I want to talk about things I've quit before and why I've quit them before, and what it feels like, and sort of unpack it. It's not so much a story time. I'm going to dive in. I don't have that much. I don't know why I don't have that much. I'm now questioning if I think I've just been wearing the same thing like over and over again. Anyways, I just want to like kind of unpack this conversation of quitting, because in yesterday's video I was talking, I like briefly alluded to the fact that I used to have 2 other Instagram accounts. One was for plants and cocktails. It was called Hey Horty or something like that. Horty Cocktail. It's awful. I don't even remember what it's called. So that's not a good sign. And then I also started my Curated Chaos, my home decor page. And I was talking about it yesterday because I did an unboxing, a Target fall haul. You should check it out if you missed it, home decor stuff. And I was saying like, I started down that avenue of doing some home decor, and I thought maybe my channel was gonna turn into like all DIY home decor stuff. And then I just sort of like stopped. And you know, in editing that video, I was like rethinking about just that whole concept, and like sort of like battling inside of my head as to like whether or not that in itself is embarrassing, or I should be embarrassed or ashamed or feel like a failure. And like oftentimes people will ask me, like people in my life will ask like, oh, are you still doing the home decor? And I'm like, no. And like, I don't know if that's a disappointment or to myself or to them, or like, I don't know. And so I just thought it was an interesting concept, this idea of quitting something and what that like ultimately means, or doesn't mean anything. And in that specific situation, in both of those, the first one just like came out of the pandy. Like the plants and cocktails, I just like was really getting into plants and really enjoying it. And a friend wanted to help me do that. And it was just something that we did for like fun. But it started to get like a little consuming in terms of like having to come up with recipes, and I just didn't have the bandwidth. And so it just kind of like died off. And then in terms of the curated chaos, the home decor, it was like, I really liked it, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, Lisa, like, I'm glad that I tried that, but like, if I want to proceed, like I'll back up for a second. I am like, I don't know if it's an Aries thing or an artist thing. Like, I like to be doing a million things at once, and I am notorious for starting things and not finishing them. And I get really excited about stuff and then it just kind of fizzles. So in terms of the like home decor thing, I was like, well, I actually am like really, I feel like I'm starting to get good at this, and I really like this, but if I want to continue to do this, I kind of have to go full in. There's like no like half-ass in it. Like I was able to do that a little bit and kind of use YouTube and this channel as like a way to justify doing that, but like I couldn't do it all. I couldn't sustain the rest of my videos, and I couldn't sustain like my voiceover work, and I couldn't, like I just got in a little bit like over my head, and it really got to the point where I was starting to like research like, oh, do I want to, you know, start taking interior design classes? Like, do I want to really go that path? And I ultimately decided like, I'm just not ready to make that big jump, and if I want to do it, I want to do it right. And so I really pulled back from it. Again, if like, you know, someone in my life was like, hey, can you like redo our kids' room, here's the budget, I would absolutely do it. I would love nothing more. But for me to either put the money in to do that, like I can't justify it, and the time also. So, you know, okay, so those are sort of like the groundwork, or rather like the information around why I ended up quitting all that. And then now to examine it, it's like, well, should I be embarrassed? I don't think so. I think I was really good at it, and I was like really proud of myself. And then ultimately I made this conscious decision like not to move forward with it. Am I disappointed that I couldn't sustain it? Like, yeah, absolutely. Like I really enjoyed both of the Instagrams, and I just like enjoyed the process of all of it. But I also feel like proud in some ways that like I tried something. I feel like if you don't try something, you never know. And so in some ways, not trying is more embarrassing, I guess, you know, not embarrassing to other people, like to yourself. Like for me, I'll just speak to myself. Like I feel like not trying would have like been more upsetting to me than trying and then making this conscious decision not to. Does that make sense? So I'm still like processing this and trying to like kind of pick apart. I'm not making excuses, because sometimes I really do start stuff and I just don't finish. And a lot of the times it's strictly out of fear. I'm trying to think of like a very specific example. Okay, I'll give you a specific example. In college, I've probably talked about this a little bit, but not in this context. In college, back up. I've always been into musical theater. I really love musical theater. I grew up watching musical theater. You guys know I owned a musical theater studio. It's a big part of my life, and all the way up through high school, I was doing musicals and singing, and I was like the lead of my school musical and all that stuff, okay? And so then I went to college, and I went to college at UC Irvine, and I was in the theater department, and my freshman year, I was like auditioning for all the musicals, and I was doing okay, and then I got into this one class, a musical theater class. You had to audition into musical theater to get like placed into levels. And I went to do my audition for that, and I thought I did really well, and I was feeling really confident. And then like I quickly learned that I like got placed in the lowest group, or the lowest level, and it crushed me. Like the wind knocked out of me. Like I was like completely sort of blindsided by it all, and like my confidence in singing and musical theater like was knocked so low that I never got back up from that. And I think my memory of like the teacher wasn't great, and I can't really remember the details, but then I like entered into like that class, and I was amongst people who were just like doing it for fun and like had no training, and like, I don't know, my psyche was just like all turned around. And so I pretty much quit musical theater after that. That's actually kind of devastating to say out loud. You know, there was a realization, to my credit, there was a realization that like the people at school were like everyone was the star of their musical at school. And then they got to college, you know, in the high school, and then they got to college, and it was like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, this is a whole different ball game here, and like, I'm a little bit out of my element. So I do think an acknowledgement sometimes is good, and like making a conscious choice based on like, knowledge is power, based on like truth and reality is good. But I do feel like I kind of cut it off a little bit too soon. And had I just sort of had the perspective, had I been in therapy, honestly, at the time to talk that one out, like had the perspective to be like, okay, this is just like one person's opinion. Like that is one person's opinion. I auditioned for one person. Like, had I had the wherewithal to sort of have some insight and like step back and really see the bigger picture, I think I might have at least continued to train and see if I could have progressed. And so, yeah, that I feel really, really bad about still. That one crushed me. So that was a decision based out of fear, because I was just like so fearful of rejection after that, that I really let that go. So that's like the difference, I guess, in terms of like the quitting, like in terms of quitting, and like what I find is like a reasonable and like justifiable reason to quit. And maybe the word quit isn't a positive term, but like moving on from something, making a conscious decision to place your energy elsewhere. That's a better word than quit. But some of it is like strictly out of fear. So I'm trying in my life to make those decisions to place my energy elsewhere / quit, only when like it makes sense to, and not because of fear. Wow, I just made that discovery right now. Not to live in fear, but just out of like strictly to give space and time for something else that you're really passionate about. I remember when I owned the children's theater, and I should do a whole video about that, but I remember parents, like we would do musicals and the kids would like audition, but like we were so adamant like that all the kids got lines and a moment in the song. Like we kind of like rewrote all the musicals, so like even if your kid wasn't Annie, like Sandy the dog would be able to like have a solo and lines and the whole thing, you know what I mean? We made sure every kid like had their moment, and we were really like strict about that and like adamant about that. That was like our whole thing. And even so, parents would like pull their kids if their kids didn't get the lead, like their kid wasn't Annie, they would like just quit. And I just feel like that is a weird lesson to be teaching and passing along to your children. So that's a case of like, I don't know if that's good. Going back, I'll tell you guys a little secret. I don't think I ever told you this, our secret and embarrassing story. This might be its own qualifier in terms of, or its own category of like quitting. It wasn't out of fear, and it wasn't really out of putting my energy elsewhere, although maybe it was. I like got a job or a internship. I was going to work for an interior designer. I was connected one through a friend, and she was really cool, and I really liked her, and I was gonna be doing some like personal assistant work for her. This was like not that long ago. I was just like, voiceover work is slow, and it's just like, maybe I really do want to do this interior design. Like I should, put my time where my mouth is, put my money where my mouth, I should just give it a shot. And I went for one day, and I was so bored. I was so not qualified for what I was doing, and not in a way that was like challenging and fun, in a way that I was just like kind of frustrated. Like I had to like sort all these samples of different like materials and wallpapers and stuff that you think would be fun, but like I had no knowledge of any of it. I just like was able to sort by color, but like then she came in at the end of the day and like literally rearranged. It took me all day to do this sample thing. And then she came in and was like so rude and like just like changed everything, didn't explain anything. And I was just like, okay, I don't know if I can sustain this. And then I got back in the car and I noticed like I had missed all these emails. I missed a brand deal for YouTube. Like it was such a whirlwind of, you know, however long, how many hours was I there? It was a long day, but it was such a whirlwind. And then to get back in the car and like see that I had missed all this business, I was just like, okay, I mean, I guess this just isn't for me. And so then I wrote her an email. I guess I should have called. That's another thing. I need to be better about calling. I think I've talked about that before. It's just like following through and being an adult and being brave and doing things correctly. But I like sent an email and she just never wrote me back. I was like, hey, you know, gotta be honest, I had a fun day today. Everyone in your office is like super, super lovely. I just like, it occurred to me like once I got home and like realized I had missed so much of my other life that I just simply can't like give you what you need, and I can't also like take what I need. So I really do apologize. Thank you for this opportunity. And she never wrote me back. I feel like it's kind of a lot my fault, but anyways, yeah, that was the job I quit. I had one day of that job and then I quit it. Hit it and quit it, my friends. I hit it and quit it. That's not what that means. Anyways, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this idea of quitting, when you feel like actually quitting is a win. I mean, obviously quitting bad habits is a win. That's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother thing to tackle. What are other things? Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I feel like there was always this mentality of like, you're not a quitter. We're not quitters. And I actually do like hold on to that in many ways, but I do think in certain situations, if you really are putting your energy in the wrong thing and you acknowledge that, then moving on from that is a win. So how do you like them apples? That was a rant and a half. But I think that made sense. I'm interested in reading your comments. As always, I love reading your comments. I love your brains. I love your hearts. I was gonna say I love your farts. Not true. I don't know of them. It just rhymes. And I should probably edit that out because someone's going to take that the wrong way, but here we are, usually very unfiltered. I appreciate you all very much, and thank you, Betterhelp, for sponsoring today's video. Again, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. Just go to betterhelp.com/Lisbug. I got you. Let's keep our brains and hearts healthy and happy, and yeah, we can do it together. And fold our laundry, chores, and mental health all together in one video. Wowza! What a deal. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.